White. We are in Segovia, Spain, in a castle, and we're shooting a music video. Let's go!
Hi, this is Aileen once again. Disney has returned to the spotlight with its live-action remake of Snow White. But not in the way the studio likely expected. What was supposed to be a nostalgic revival has turned into a full-scale cultural debate. The company, known for shaping some of the most cherished stories in cinema, now finds itself caught in a wave of controversy, one strong enough to threaten its long-standing legacy. Fans, critics, and even casual observers all seem to be asking the same question: what exactly is Disney doing? On one side is a film carrying an enormous price tag of nearly $300 million. On the other is a growing community of frustrated viewers who feel Disney has drifted far from the charm and authenticity that once defined its classics. And at the center of this storm is Rachel Zegler, the actress portraying Snow White. Her comments have intensified the debate dramatically, turning a heated discussion into a blazing cultural firestorm. But stepping back, it becomes clear this controversy goes far beyond a single actress or a single movie. It reflects Disney's ongoing struggle to balance modern reinvention with the timeless heritage that built its empire. Is this bold new direction a creative risk worth taking? Or is Disney gambling with the very magic that made its name legendary? To understand how we got here, we need to rewind all the way to 1937, the year Walt Disney introduced Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to the world. This wasn't just another film. It was a groundbreaking triumph that reshaped the entertainment industry forever. As the first full-length animated feature, it set new standards for storytelling, visual innovation, and emotional impact. With its unforgettable music, iconic characters, and universal message, Snow White didn't just become a hit. It laid the foundation for the entire Disney empire and opened the door for future classics like Cinderella, The Little Mermaid, and countless beloved tales that shaped generations. But as time moved forward, so did the pressures of modern filmmaking. Disney faced the challenge of reinventing these beloved classics for contemporary audiences, while still preserving the heart of the originals. For a while, they seemed to find the right balance. Live-action adaptations like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast added fresh layers without losing their nostalgic essence, and fans welcomed the updates. So when Disney announced a live-action Snow White, excitement skyrocketed. However, this is where things became complicated. When you alter a story as iconic as Snow White, the margin for error becomes razor thin. Casting Rachel Zegler, an emerging actress with undeniable talent but limited experience, to take on one of the most recognizable characters in cinema was a daring choice. And now, more than ever, the pressure surrounding this film is immense. The road from respect to reinvention is a dangerous one, and Snow White 2025 has become a clear example of just how risky that journey can be. What should have been a dream project for both Rachel Zegler and Disney quickly spiraled into a public relations disaster. Social media erupted with criticism, claiming Zegler didn't appreciate the rich legacy of Snow White or understand its groundbreaking impact. Fans and commentators accused her of dismissing the very film that helped establish Disney's empire and forever changed the world of animation. Her remarks characterizing the 1937 classic as outdated and no longer suitable for modern audiences ignited an online firestorm. She spoke about removing what she viewed as archaic story elements and insisted that this new Snow White needed far more independence and power, even suggesting a version where the princess slays her own dragons. While some people applauded the updated direction, many lifelong fans felt insulted. Critics were harsh as well, openly questioning Disney's choice to cast an actress who seemed to critique the very story she was hired to bring back to life. As Zegler's interviews continued to circulate, her name became tied to the controversy itself. But the uproar wasn't just about Rachel Zegler. It was about Disney, its creative decisions, and what many saw as the company's failure to honor the legacy of one of its most iconic stories. For countless fans, Snow White wasn't simply a film. It was a treasured piece of childhood, a cornerstone of Disney's magical heritage. The backlash wasn't mild frustration. It was intense anger. That anger spread rapidly across YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and fan communities everywhere. Words like boycott, betrayal, and disrespect dominated the conversation as audiences accused Disney of abandoning its traditions in favor of modern messaging. Leaked concepts and early marketing only made things worse. The romantic storyline had been removed. The Seven Dwarfs replaced with a diverse group of magical companions. And various plot elements had been heavily reworked. Fans weren't simply annoyed by the changes. They were furious about what they believed those changes implied. To many, it felt like Disney was declaring that the original magic, the charm that defined the 1937 classic, was no longer good enough. Every new Rachel Zegler interview, every leaked plot detail, and every marketing misstep only intensified the frustration. Viral blogs and commentary channels accused her of being dismissive, even disrespectful, toward the original Snow White. And despite Disney's attempts to control the narrative, the damage was spreading quickly. Fans weren't just voicing their anger anymore. They were demanding action. The question looming over everything was simple. Would the outrage stay online, or was Disney heading straight toward a financial disaster? Behind the scenes, the controversy had reached a boiling point. Leaks hinted that Disney had completely reworked the story, replacing the Seven Dwarfs with a new group of magical companions and reshaping Snow White into a fiercely independent heroine who rejected traditional fairy tale conventions. These changes were intended to reflect modern values and avoid outdated stereotypes, but many fans saw them as an unnecessary rewrite of a timeless classic. To them, the soul of Snow White rested in its innocence, its optimism, and its clear battle between good and evil. Instead of updating a masterpiece, Disney seemed to be dismantling the very magic that made it legendary. And this story was far from over. People everywhere were asking the same thing. Was Disney rewriting history for the better, or was it losing the essence that made its stories unforgettable? Audiences shared their thoughts in comment sections, discussion boards, and reaction videos. fueling an ever-growing storm of debate as everyone awaited the next update in this unfolding saga. What was originally expected to be Disney's next big hit had morphed into a high-stakes battle for the studio's legacy. This wave of backlash wasn't merely about Snow White. It had evolved into a larger movement criticizing Disney's entire direction. Fans didn't feel simply disappointed. Many felt outright betrayed. What the company called progress now felt like treachery to longtime supporters who saw a pattern forming. Beloved classics undergoing radical rewrites. All under the banner of modernization, audiences began asking a pointed question. Why not create entirely new stories that represent modern ideals instead of rewriting the classics that shaped generations? Comparisons to other divisive remakes like Ghostbusters 2016 or The Little Mermaid 2023 were inevitable. Viewers felt their cherished memories were being altered rather than honored. What began as online outrage quickly transformed into a serious call for Disney to rethink its strategy. This wasn't just a movie anymore. It was a critical test of whether Disney could still balance nostalgia with innovation, without losing the heart of the magic that built its empire. But just when the outrage seemed like it couldn't grow any louder, things got even worse. Then came the bombshell. Disney's Snow White remake, already under fire for its sweeping changes, had a jaw-dropping budget of $300 million. This was the kind of money usually reserved for superhero blockbusters. Instead, they highlighted the most controversial elements: Snow White's reimagined independence, the complete removal of the seven dwarves, and the lack of a traditional romantic storyline. Those teasers immediately triggered intense backlash across Reddit, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube as fans expressed their concerns in massive numbers. The comparisons to Ghostbusters 2016 grew stronger, with audiences accusing Disney of focusing more on messaging than on preserving the heart of the original story. It felt, to many, like Disney had completely lost touch with its audience. And then there was Rachel Zegler. Her interviews spread like wildfire, but for all the wrong reasons. Many felt her comments dismissed the original film entirely, further fueling the outrage. This no longer looked like a simple creative misstep. It looked like a disaster that could shake Disney's entire empire. Merchandising, theme park tie-ins, brand partnerships, and the entire live-action remake strategy were suddenly on the line. The pressure on Disney was enormous. The stakes were high. Could the studio save this project, or had the magic already slipped away? Retailers were watching closely. Toys, apparel, books, dolls, all already in production, could become unsellable if families rejected the remake. Unsold merchandise piling up in warehouses and stores would be a nightmare for Disney and its partners. Time was running out, and Disney's reputation, legacy, and financial future were all hanging in the balance. Would Disney keep gambling on reimagining its classics, or would Snow White mark the breaking point for its cherished heritage? This controversy struck at the heart of Disney's live-action strategy, which had been a massive success for over a decade. Films like The Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin brought in billions by tapping into nostalgia. But fans were growing tired of watching their childhood favorites reworked, especially when it felt like Disney was sacrificing the original magic to push modern themes. If Snow White failed, Disney might be forced to rethink everything, either doubling down in hopes of fixing the formula or pulling back to focus on brand new, original stories. The stakes were especially high for Rachel Zegler. Her career had become tied to this controversial film. Would she be later viewed as an ambitious actress misunderstood by audiences, or as a cautionary tale about what happens when a star alienates the fan base? Hollywood can be unforgiving, and history is full of careers damaged by backlash. Could Snow White 2025 become the warning sign Disney desperately needs? One thing is clear: this film is more than a remake. It's a referendum on Disney's entire creative direction. For decades, the company enchanted the world with timeless storytelling. Now fans and critics alike are questioning whether that magic is fading and whether Disney is abandoning what made its classics unforgettable in the first place. This raises a critical question. Should Disney focus on creating wholly new stories instead of endlessly reimagining old ones? The reliance on remakes suggests a hesitation to take creative risks, as if the studio would rather lean on nostalgia, even at the cost of alienating core fans. And yet, the success of Frozen, Moana, and Encanto proves that original ideas, when done well, can still capture hearts and become global phenomena. If Snow White collapses, it could mark the end of Disney's live-action remake dominance and send shockwaves through the entire studio. The stakes have never been higher. As the premiere approaches, Disney faces a moment of reckoning. Will Snow White prove that tradition and innovation can coexist, or will it stand as a cautionary tale of pushing modernization too far? For Disney, failure is not an option. It could threaten the company's creative future and financial stability. And for Rachel Zegler, the success or failure of this movie could define the next chapter of her career. Disney's legacy is on the line, and the company built on optimism may now be fighting for its future.